This is Christian Farmer at the Tribeca Trade Group with a quick live stream this morning. I am taking some vacation this week, so no end of day videos. I'm working right now mornings, but I just wanted to go over just real quick just what we're seeing in this market and the word that comes to mind here. Well, it's probably two words that come to mind. One is rotation. And kind of part of the catalyst for that is with the rotation is earnings, right? I mean, we're right in the heart of earnings season. We've got some big companies that are reporting after the close today, as well as what we've had pre-market so far. But you're going to have Google, Tesla, Chipotle, just a lot of companies that are reporting after the close today. So that's going to dictate some more movers and some more rotations. I'm just going to talk about a couple quick themes that I see this morning. Number one, there was this story that came out last night about power generation and about electricity use and about how next year it's going to cost more and more stresses on the US grid. This has been a theme all year long in terms of names like GEV, names like NRG, TLN, which has been really strong lately, VST, which was a darling of last year. This group just continues to be very strong. You also have GEV reporting earnings this morning, which also they're crushing it. So to me, it just means right now, like if you're a theme person and if you're owning some of these names because of these types of themes, it doesn't sound like this theme is going to go away anytime soon because you're getting hit with both regular electricity needs and higher energy costs there, and then also AI sucking up more power and energy. So really, really nice move here in GEV pre-market. Notice that these names have dipped a little bit. These names kind of came in a little bit. There was an analyst note out last week that says that there's increased competition. These things can create buying opportunities. So I would watch for possible new highs in GEV this morning. But you could also kind of take a look at this group. Also, I think another group that isn't going away, but again, it runs on momentum, so you have to be a little bit careful with this. Sorry, I'm not sharing the right screen, so let me take care of that. There we go. There's GEV. Now I got the charts up. So here was your dip. I mean, notice that the dip came in yesterday down to the bottom of the value area and took out this VPOC, and it bounced considerably. So these are things that I think you want to pay attention to. I was also talking about a name that I'm long, SMR, yesterday, came down to the top of its value area yesterday. Now it's going to have to fight through 47.05. But that's something that I would pay attention to. Again, I've been saying this for a while, but I think the technicals are a bit stronger in Oklo. Oklo, I have nothing against Oklo, and I think Oklo will move on, contract announcements and things like that. But I think SMR looks a little bit stronger technically. But just keep in mind, these names can really move, right? You have to be aware of how fast, especially the uranium names, can move. And of course, like if you don't want to mess around with the individual names, you could still kind of own, I think owning the overall sector kind of cuts down on the volatility. I sometimes will own the outright sector ETF and then complement that with an individual name. CCJ hold up pretty well. Like that's also a little bit slower mover. So I actually own CCJ and SMR in this group. Also, I wanted to talk about, the main, as we're getting more and more earnings reports out, things are really going to move around because of that. What I try to get out of earnings season is just to kind of listen to what is going on in some of these earnings reports, and then try to, take note of that. One of the things that I thought was most surprising yesterday was the move in the home builders. I mean, you have to be kidding me. This was a huge move, and not just one of them. DHI was up 17%. Pulte Homes was up over 11%. These are not small moves, guys, especially like for something like the home builders. Now, keep in mind, this is going back to what one of the major things that's going on right now in this market is rotation. So you have to kind of stay on your toes with these rotations. Folks are going to move. When I say folks, funds are going to move into some of these things and they're going to sell some other things, right? If there are surprises that are going on, and I do believe that these two names surprised the overall, uh, surprised a lot of folks, because if you go back to just about a month ago, this was a very underperforming group. Right? If you look at the overall home building group, it was lagging for a good for the first half of this year. So you've got surprises when you have surprises, you're going to have funds move back into some of these groups. The rates have not been, the overall interest rates in the United States have not been conducive to say, hey, I'm going to go long, the home building group. But if they're kind of weathering the storm, and if information is coming out in their earnings calls that are saying, hey, that there's still some pent up demand for housing, there's opportunity there. And I think, another obviously, theme that is going on right now is what's going on in this meme stock movement. I went long rocket companies, not just because like it's got a high short interest, but because it's got a theme to play all of a sudden. Like housing just got hot really quick. So I will go into something that has high short interest, and I'm going to make a quick point. I'm I'm going to make a quick point. Sorry, I was just reading the headlines there, a headline about Powell, but I don't think it's anything. But I will go into something that has short interest, not just because of that reason, right? We know that all these, like I see GoPro moving, DNUT is moving pre-market. I This is me, and you could take your own, have your own philosophy. But I do not just buy a company just because it has high short interest. Now, if I like a name because there's something else going on, for instance, like rocket companies, right? If I've got two or three reasons to buy a company and it has the added kicker of high short interest, that's very favorable. But I'm never just going to go in and buy something just because it has high short interest, right? And I guess you could do that for a trade that's working right now, but that's the way that I think about short interest, is that if I've got two or three other reasons to be buying a name, sure, that makes me more excited about a name. Rocket, by the way, I did peel off some of this just at 1720. This was a trade that I put in the TTG Market Pulse note yesterday, right? So that's my Substack, where every day I put out a midday note and I put probably 3 or 4 different ideas. So if you're looking for different ideas, that's where I'm kind of floating some of those ideas. Half of which I take the trade, and I did that with rocket companies yesterday. Another trade idea that I highlighted yesterday was Zillow. So again, just all I'm doing here is just picking up on what the market is telling us, right? And the market is telling us right now that either the housing companies are underowned, and probably B, they're actually, there's some strength going on there, evidenced by those moves yesterday. So that's all that I really want to say this morning to you guys, is just be aware of those things. We've got Google reporting after the close today. I don't know what was going on yesterday. There's the open interest. There's a lot of September 210 strike calls that went up in Google. So you can formulate your own opinion about that. The open interest changed by 60,000 contracts just yesterday. This is somebody positioning in Google a day ahead of earnings. Now Google has had a nice move. It is finally broken out of its value area for the year. So this is probably something that I'm gonna at least try to put on some type of a participation trade that's going on here. One other thing that I was going to mention too is, like, so housing is a good has been a good theme in terms of what we've seen in terms of earnings results. Also, be cognizant of areas that are strong, that may not be seeing as great of earnings that are expected. Remember, like Netflix is a good example from this last week, right? The bar was set a little bit too high for Netflix. It's not to say that they had a bad quarter, but look at how they broke the 50-day moving average yesterday. So just as new leadership can be found with strong earnings reports, you're also going to see some leadership changes from the upside and move back to the downside, right? It may just mean that some companies may turn into dead money for the quarter, right? And I can't I can't emphasize this enough that that companies' personalities will completely change with a strong earnings report. So I'm not down on Netflix. I'm just saying pay attention to the price action, right? So far, the semiconductors, I have to say, probably not the best thing so far from semiconductors. We've seen ASML go down. Texas Instruments is down this morning. On they were asked a question in their earnings call about if part of their earnings strength is because of people front running tariffs. They didn't really have a good. They couldn't quantify that. The market didn't like that, and Texas Instruments sold off on that. So Texas Instruments, I would say, like I'm not that concerned because this is a name that sometimes does underperform on its earnings, but you have to be aware, just like with the housing, when you're seeing several names come out and report better than expected earnings, you have to be a little bit cognizant of this group, which the semis have been one of the strongest groups over the last month. But if they're not going to have the earnings to support this, that could be a problem. So I would be more concerned. Like I said, Taiwan Semi had a good earnings report and did not go up that much, but again, like I would rather be owning the names that had the strong earnings reports and and avoid the ones that have weaker. But be mindful of what you're seeing in terms of the earnings reports to the upside and to the downside. I'll leave it there, guys. Have a great rest of your day. And again, no end of day videos for me, but you can catch my commentary on Substack as I progress as we